Good morning. Good morning. Welcome on this beautiful wintry day. We're glad to see you here, and we're especially glad to have those of you here that may be here for the first time. We hope you'll be coming back soon. My name is Jan Apland-Curtis. I'm your worship leader today, and our guest speaker is Emily Bostian. She is a member of the UU Church of Washington County, and she has a background in the theater and arts. She's a small business owner of a consignment shop in Beaverton, and she has a young child. She spoke here about 3 years ago in 2022, and we are really happy to have her back again. And just a reminder to please silence your cell phones if you have not already done so. Eastrose Fellowship sits on the occupied territory of the Clackamas Chinook people who were forcibly displaced from this land to the Grand Ronde Reservation in 1855. We acknowledge the sacrifices endured by the ancestors of this land, and that our presence here today is only possible because of the injustices committed against them. We recognize the inherent sovereignty of the Chinook Nation and Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde, who carry on the traditions, legacy, and history held by their ancestors from time immemorial to this day. We seek meaningful relationships with these communities that foster repair. And now we'll take a moment to greet each other here in the chapel and those watching online. So we'll start out by turning and facing the clock where the cameras are and waving to our friends at home that are watching online. And then next turn to your neighbor and you can greet each other for a few moments. There will be more time to visit after the service with having coffee and tea together in the back room. For our online guests, if you would like to share a joy or a sorrow during that portion of the service, you can do so by entering it into the YouTube chat, and those will be shared aloud with everyone. And I also encourage you to identify yourself in the chat so we can better acknowledge your presence with us today. Welcome to this place. Welcome to this place of peace. May we find some moments of quiet contemplation. Welcome to this place of celebration. May our hearts soar with gratitude for the gift of life. Welcome to this place of sacred love. May we gently hold all that is broken here. Welcome to this place of inquiry. Here, may we be challenged to open our minds and hearts ever wider. Come into this place of community. May we together draw the circle of love and justice ever wider. Welcome to this sacred place. Come, let us worship, celebrate, grieve, and love together. In these wild, historic, and uncertain times, we gather to remember who we are, who we belong to, and what we are called to do. As we light this chalice, we kindle the spirit of the great turning, the movement for justice alive in this nation today. May we feel it in our bones, and in the stillness of this hour, may we sense it calling our name.
This is a poem by Liz James, whom you may know of the UU Hysterical Society, that she wrote in 2017. You are not on call. You are not on call for the pain of the world. I know you feel every hit of the hammer beating plowshares into swords and people into plowshares. And every time you fail to step between the blow and its target, the injustice is sewn into your bones too. And so, when the hammer rises, you must rise with it, raising your voice, your eyes, your awareness, your body, whatever part of you that can be given as an offering. You cannot stay this way forever. Sewn to this cacophony of blows, every movement of yours a follow, until your body is owned by the drumbeat of the raising of the weapons, until your days string together in a stuttering heartbreak of rage, and you cannot catch breath. This is what you promised to those who don't get to choose whether or not to show up for the fight, to those whose very bodies thrust them into the ring. You promised that you would hold nothing back, I know, except you cannot be on call for the pain of the world. It is not work that can be done without sleep. When we said that people are too sacred to be beaten into plowshares or swords, we meant you. We need you for the fight, and we need you for all the things that are less and more than fighting. We need you to be ready to listen in the soft way the earth listens, to reign in the hours before dawn, to be tender, to cradle precious things, to hold the smell of dew in your hair, to hum the song that flowers will rise up through the earth to hear. I need you to stay in love with the world.
Please rise as you are able in body or spirit and join us in singing De Colores. The words will be on the screen or in your gray hymnals, number 305.
And now it's time for all ages. What's your name?
Ashford. Fiona.
And I'm Emily. It's nice to meet you. So the book I'm going to read today is called is from the Molly of Denali series. You may know this also as a TV show and a podcast. And this book is called The Very Itchy Day. When I practiced this, I wasn't holding a microphone. Let's see how this goes.
Molly of Den, itchy berry.
Yeah, it's Molly of Denali. That's right. Oh, look, there we are. Wow. Have you ever been canoeing? Anybody ever been canoeing?
I've been canoeing with my dad before.
Everybody ever eaten blueberries? Anybody ever been eaten by a mosquito? Okay.
Can I read it?
Sure.
Molly of Denial. Very itchy day. I'm super excited today because my family is going to pick Jack. That means blueberries in Gwenjin. We love to eat blueberries and we like to cook with them too. So we need lots of Jack. Ready to go, Molly? Asked Mom. Thanks for watching the store,
Make sure people can hear you.
she said to Toey. Happy to help, Tony says. Don't forget bug repellent. I grabbed the repellent and off
Don't the bug repellent. Very important.
off the counter. It will keep mosquitoes from biting us. But she did.
That's right. That's very, very good.
She grabbed the wrong thing. It was dog repellent.
Wrong thing. Anybody done that?
She grabbed the dog repellent.
Okay.
When will we arrive at the river? There are tons of mosquitoes. Let's get on the water, Dad says. They won't be so bad there. We jumped in the canoe and started to paddle, but the mosquitoes followed us because they grabbed the wrong repellent. Pass the bug repellent, says Dad. Dad sprays the repellent. That's odd. That smells. This smells like dog perfume, he says.
Oops.
That's what you spray on dogs when they roll in something stinky. Oops. I just sprayed my dog, Suki, with dog perfume this morning. I have mixed up the bottles on the counter.
Mixed up the bottles on the counter. Anybody done that?
We head to shore and made a fire. The smoke keeps the mosquitoes from biting us. It is true. The problem is we can't pick Jack if we're stuck by the fire. We really need repellent. My grandmother used to make repellent from plants, but I don't know the recipe, says Mom. Then I think of something. There's a book back at home that might have a recipe. I decided to call Tony, but first I had to climb a tree to get phone service.
So sometimes we remember things that our mother, father used to do, but we don't exactly remember how they do it. So that's what's happening. That's what's happening here, is that Molly's mom remembers a way to make a natural insect repellent from wild plants, but she doesn't remember exactly how to do it. So they're going to call and try to find a book.
I asked Tony to find the book. I'll call you when I find the recipe. But here an idea while you wait, he says. I heard that elephants covered their skin in mud to keep bugs off. We decided to try it. We take mud from the river and put it on our arms arms and face, but the mosquitoes kept biting us.
Didn't work. Mud does not keep off mosquitoes.
It's time to give up on the berries and head home, says Dad. Mom and I stay by the fire, and Dad canoes back for the trunk. Just then, Tony calls. Hey, I remember that elephants use mud to cool off, not for butts. He said, no kidding. While we're on the phone, Tony finds the recipe. We need 4 plants, yarrow, stickweed, marigold, and wild onions. Mom and I started to look for plants we need. Tony sends a picture of the ingredients to my phone. We used the picture to make sure that we had the right plants. We put everything in the bucket, and I take a video of us making the recipe. We squash up the plants, base plants, Mom says. Squish, squash, squish. That means thank you in Kanu. Thank you for protecting us from mosquitoes, Mom says Mom. After we squish the plants, we add a little water. Time to test it out, says Mom. I put the mixture on my arms and face. I stand with my arms wide. What if bugs bite me? But I don't feel anything. I'm not been bitten. The recipe worked.
The recipe worked. Yay!
And they learned their lesson. Never forget the bug repellent.
Well, you can't forget it if you have the recipe to make it from the wild.
Yeah.
All right, almost done.
Just then, Dad pulls up in the truck. It took so long to get the repellent. That is time to go home. We had to pick berries another time. There are blueberries right on the bushes by the truck. I run over there to pick a few. I picked just enough, Jack, to bake exactly 1 muffin.
Enough berries for 1 muffin.
My parents and I decided to split it with Tony. Thanks for watching the store, says Mom. Let's eat, says Dad. Eat.
Well, thanks so much for reading that. So, what I like about this book and this series and this TV show is that Molly of Denali has relatable experiences. She has a phone. She calls her friend. She tries to, she makes little mistakes. And she's also a native Alaskan. And so she brings aspects of her culture and also in the modern world. And that teaches us in a way that we might understand more with our hearts because we've read the story than we would just with our brains reading about it, is that the native peoples of this land are living with us, around us, and having many similar experiences to us, like getting bitten by mosquitoes.
And remember, if bugs are near you, keep away from them and find that recipe to be not bitten by mosquitoes.
Good wisdom. And now we sing the children out to their classes. Thank you.
And I'll now invite you into a quiet time of meditation. If you are comfortable, Close your eyes and place your feet on the floor, flat on the floor. Uncross your arms, drop your shoulders, and take a very big exhale. Then begin your intentional breathing. 4 beats in, slowly through your nose. 5 or 6 beats out through your mouth in a steady rhythm, creating peace and spaciousness as you move from the crown of your head to the soles of your feet, grounded on the earth. We will now breathe silently together. Complete another round or 2 of breathing, and then slowly come back to this space. We'll now do a quiet song together, and we're doing something new today, and our quiet song is going to be around us. We'll remain seated, and Building Bridges, number 1023 in the teal hymnal, or the words will be on the screen. Mary will play it through one time, then we will sing it together one time, then our side will start off and start the round, and Richard's side will come in on the second line.
This is a reading by Ursula K. Le Guin. In America, The imagination is generally looked on as something that might be useful when the TV is out of order. Poetry and plays have no relation to practical politics. Novels are for students, housewives, and other people who don't work. Fantasy is for children and primitive peoples. Literacy is so you can read the operating instructions. I think the imagination is the single most useful tool mankind possesses. It beats the opposable thumb. I can imagine living without my thumbs, but not without my imagination. I hear voices agreeing with me. Yes, yes, they cry. The creative imagination is a tremendous plus in business. We value creativity. We reward it. In the marketplace, the word creativity has come to mean the generation of ideas applicable to practical strategies to make larger profits. This reduction has gone on so long that the word creative can hardly be degraded further. I don't use it anymore, yielding it to capitalists and academics to abuse as they like. But they can't have imagination. Imagination is not a means of making money. It has no place in the vocabulary of profit-making. It is not a weapon, although all weapons originate from it, and their use or non-use depends on it, as with all tools and their uses. The imagination is an essential tool of the mind, a fundamental way of thinking, an indispensable means of becoming and remaining human. That's Ursula K. Le Guin. I guess I didn't need to sit down. I'm talking about books today. It's one of my favorite subjects. In 2018, when I was 6 months pregnant, my dad sent me a box of my childhood books. Make Way for Ducklings, Frederick's Fables, Charlotte's Web, A Pet for Mrs. Arbuckle, Pet of the Met, his mother's copy of Winnie the Pooh. Wonderful books. I tucked each one carefully onto our bookshelf, looking forward to reading them to our baby. We read those books and many others. We are lucky to have a wonderful library system, and I do not take it for granted. Sarah is now in kindergarten and just learning to read. But she still wants us to read with her, fortunately. We have just finished Love Puppies, a recent series by Janae Brown Wood, which has a racially diverse set of characters, and are now reading the Magic Bunny series, written in the early 2000s by Sue Bentley, which does not. In a 1990 essay entitled Mirrors, Windows, and Sliding Glass Doors, Dr. Rudine Sims Bishop discusses the impact that inadequate representation of non-white characters had on all children. Her concept was that books offer a window into other people's experiences but that some books offer a mirror reflecting our own experience. We all need both mirrors and windows. I had plenty of mirrors. Books were filled with girls who looked like me. From Emily Elizabeth in the Clifford series, to Little Sal in Blueberries for Sal, to Meg Murray in A Wrinkle in Time, Hermione Granger in the Harry Potter series. Spirited white girls who were a little too book smart, respected but not popular, tough but feminine. In 1983, a year before I was born, Alana, the first adventure, was published. Tamara Pierce, the author, grew up reading Tolkien and the like, saw a distinct lack of female warriors, and decided to write some. Alana wants to be a knight, but of course girls are not allowed to be knights. She dresses up as her twin brother, calls herself Alan, and goes to be trained as a warrior. She fights bullies and defends the vulnerable. I definitely wanted to be here, perhaps minus the sword fighting. This resonated with me because I saw my own mother's struggles in a male-dominated profession. Practicing law on the conservative Eastern Shore of Maryland in the 80s and 90s, she was often told that she wasn't a real lawyer. I wonder how many people here have heard a version of that. I wonder how many have heard it recently. It's not gone away. So Alana continues to hide her identity until she becomes a knight. She goes on to become one of the greatest warriors in the kingdom, marries the rogue instead of the prince, and has a daughter. Pierce wrote these books in the 1980s, and they reflect what was at the time called the women's movement, but primarily focused on the needs of cisgendered, able-bodied, straight, middle and upper class white women. Alana was groundbreaking at the time, but that was more than 40 years ago. She broke traditional gender roles, but there is no question that she is a girl, a straight, white, able-bodied, cisgendered, noble girl. Pierce has published a number of books and is still writing. Her website includes a recent personal letter. Let us treat family, friends, employers, employees, the poor, rivals, old enemies, and total strangers with respect, patience, and hearing. For those of determined hate, viciousness, greed, indifference, brutality, and lack of consideration, let us turn our backs and ignore them. Let us forget any important position they think they have. Let us put a stop to their violence and exile them to their own petty enclaves where they may gnaw on their own entrails or change. If they change, and people do, let us welcome them back into humanity. Let us abandon our bigotries and hatreds. Let us give and not take. Let us be kind, not cruel. We may be slow, but we can learn. I'm willing to try. That's Tamara Pierce. This letter reflects so much of what we at UU's believe. Perhaps the bit about chewing on your own entrails is not quite in our line of thinking, but she's a sword and sorcery writer. So perhaps we can take that with a grain of salt. But she reminds us that people change, and when they do, we should welcome them back. This, to me, is a good guideline for our social justice work. We also need to offer this compassion to ourselves. We are always changing. I understand more about equity and inclusion than I did a few years ago, but I'm going to give some grace to my former self. And in a few years, I'll understand a bit more. As long as we are continually growing and changing, we should grant compassion to our past selves for past mistakes. So, I had plenty of mirrors as a child. I had some windows into other perspectives, but this was a small percentage. I cannot remember a single queer character in any book I read until high school. Not everyone growing up in my generation had so many mirrors. In fact, a great many did not. Dr. Anjali Adukia is one of those who did not. Dr. Adukia is a professor at the University of Chicago and director of the Messaging, Identity, and Inclusion in Education Lab, MIIE. Gotta love the letters. In an interview, she said, "I didn't see myself in the world around me growing up, and I was surprised to see how things have and have not changed in the books read by my kids." She's recently published with several other researchers a paper using natural language processing methods to analyze the text of children's books. They found that Black females are most likely to be associated with struggle and performance arts. Black males are most likely to be associated with sports and struggle. White females with family and performance arts. And white males with power and business. And really, white males are associated with everything. Females are more likely to be associated with appearance words. That's Dr. Adukia. Well, there it is. We learn about the world and our role in it early in life, and it is hard to escape. These results did not surprise me. The results of the other study she described surprised me more. Her team used AI techniques to analyze the images in children's books. They had two samples, the Newbery and Caldecott winners of the last century, and a group of books by BIPOC authors. Their findings: children are more likely to be shown with lighter skin than adults, which is concerning in a society where Black children are treated as older than they are and where youth is equated with innocence. And then following that train of logic, innocence is then implicitly equated with lightness or whiteness. And later, characters in the mainstream collection, that's the Caldecott and Newbery Award winners, are more likely to be shown with lighter skin than in the diversity collection, even after holding race constant. Meaning, characters that are classified as a given race, for example, Asian, in the diversity collection are more likely to have darker skin than characters that are classified as that same race in the mainstream collection. To me, this shows that even the most well-meaning white people need to be careful when representing BIPOC people in images or texts. Doesn't mean that white authors and illustrators should only white and draw white people, but it's an illustration of the invisible challenges of doing so. Before I had Sarah, I started writing a YA fantasy novel. Anybody else have a novel in a drawer? It's about a 14-year-old white girl who goes to boarding school, except she turns into a dragon, because I love fantasy. I felt strongly that the world didn't need another book about 4 white kids, so I made the 3 other main characters BIPOC. For each one, I thought about the stereotypes of that race and then wrote the character very differently. I worked to make each character nuanced, knowing the need to tread carefully. But that was before Sarah, so of course I haven't worked on the novel in a drawer in a long time. But I've also learned in the time since that I don't know enough to write that far out of my experience, and I may never be. Commercially successful white writers can amplify BIPOC and other marginalized writers. Rick Riordan has done this with the Rick Riordan Presents imprint from Disney. You may know Rick Riordan from the Percy Jackson series. Maybe not. Based on Greco-Roman mythology, it's a book series, and now I think there's even a musical, a Broadway musical in a movie. I think it's quite fun, actually. But he recognizes that many of the world's mythologies are not his stories to tell. So he mentors, edits, and promotes other authors, including Roshani Chokshi, J.C. Cervantes, Gracie Kim, Donnell Clayton, and Yoon-Ha Lee. Much wisdom resides in young adult books. And also, goblins, ghouls, and ghosts are sometimes easier to take than real life. For me, anyway. I recently enjoyed Tiger Honor by Yoon-Ha Lee, which he describes as a space opera. It's about a non-binary kid who is also a tiger spirit. It's a clever adventure story with high stakes, but zero death count. Another character is a nine-tailed fox with mind control, and the novel explores the ethics of using such powers in crisis situations. This world is populated by non-binary characters, and gender places no restriction on one's role in life. This is Tiger Honor by Yoon-Ha Lee. Female characters don't have to overcome gender role expectations to be in positions of leadership. Non-binary characters don't have to educate strangers on what it means. Everybody just wears a pronoun pin on their collar. There is a gap between the way I'd like my brain to think and the way it does think. Race, gender binary, these frameworks are hard to rewrite. As I was reading this book, I felt my brain inch forward to close that gap just a little faster than it usually does. And I did it by reading about tiger shapeshifters and magic foxes, which is so fun for me. I wonder how I would be different if I had grown up with more windows. Closer to the self I would like to be, I think. I wonder how our world would be different if those in power had. Every person in a position of power in America was once a kindergartner, learning about the world. What if they had gotten the message that every voice is important? Many of us come today with the weight of the world on our shoulders. It is a scary time, and our faith calls us to act. But Liz James, in the poem I read earlier, implores us to stay in love with the world. The future is looking pretty scary, but there's also this. There are more voices represented in books now than there were 40 years ago. Not enough, not even close, but more. More and more kids will grow up seeing themselves on the covers of books. The organization We Need Diverse Books has many book lists and resources on children's and young adult books. Some whose work my daughter has enjoyed lately are Janae Brown Wood, Don Tate, he's an illustrator, A.G. Ford, also an illustrator, Raoul III, Vashti Harrison, perhaps a little more famous, and Jason Reynolds, to name a few. I first gave this sermon in 2022, and the impact of race and gender representation in everything feels especially relevant today. Feelings of helplessness, rage, and fear can overwhelm us, but we have to find joy somewhere. Joy like the young man reading the book. Joy can be found by reading with kids, having kids read to us, family, neighbors, kids in RE, kids in schools. Institutions we once put our faith in may not save us, but books will save us.
Please stand as you're able in body or spirit and join us in singing the hymn 1017 in the teal hymnal, Building a New Way, and the words will be on the screen. Each week, we take an offering to support this church and to share with a community nonprofit. Through August, half of our offering will go to NAYA, Native American Youth and Family Center, which serves Native Americans from across the Portland metro area. Their aim is to enhance the diverse strengths of youth and families in partnership with the community through cultural identity and education. They promote healthy living through positive alternatives to high-risk behaviors and promote values of sobriety, family stability, culture, active lifestyles, and education. Reverend Robin and Karen Pyle have met with Tamara Henderson, the CEO, and will share opportunities for collaboration. Oh, hold on. Sorry, that's okay. If you are attending online, you may donate by visiting our website and clicking the donate button. Or you may scan the QR code on the screen. If you are here for the first time, we invite you to let the basket pass and truly be our guest. The gifts of the congregation will now be most gratefully received. And now please remain seated and sing our song of gratitude. We give thanks. The words will be on the screen. We extinguish this flame, but we keep its light in our hearts with its message of love and justice, taking it outside these walls to the world we live in until we are together again. Thank you, Mary, for the beautiful music, as always. Thank you to Phyllis, who did AV today, so John could have a day off. Thank you to our speaker, Emily, for coming all the way from far west metro area to come and speak with us. Thank you to our greeters, Richard and April, and our coffee makers, Anne and Joy. It takes a lot of people to run a service. We have some announcements. Please join us next Sunday. Reverend Robin will be back in the pulpit, and her sermon is titled, Me and My Guitar, on Adaption and Resilience. So that sounds very interesting. We have circle dinners coming up again, friendship circle dinners. The next one will be on February 22nd, so about a month away. And you can talk to Linda to find out more about that. You'll be able to sign up on a paper form or on your computer. Let's see. From Karen Pyle, there's some meaningful projects being started up with our Sharing the Bounty partner, Naya, and please see her for more details on how to get involved. Today, after the service, Katie Norris, the board president, will be leading a discussion about Eastrose finances, particularly the operating budget, an important topic. This will be a look back at the last 6 months and a discussion about the next six months. Please meet back here in the sanctuary after grabbing your coffee. And of course, always check your pedals for more announcements and details about what's going on. So I'll let Emily do the closing words.
This is With Passion and Faith by Pat Uribe Lichty. Go out now with hearts and hands and minds renewed to the world that is waiting for you. Go out to that world to bring your gentle touch to those in pain. Go out to feed and house those in need. Go out to speak truth to those with power. Go out with courage to do the work which calls you. Go out now with your passion and faith to change the world.
Time for coffee.
Go out.